illustratrix that we have in-house here. Andrea, I just want to say hello and thank you for your presence here. I will introduce myself, and then I will let the artists introduce themselves. My name is Holly Dahl. My Lakota name is Anpao Win, which means First Light Woman, and I am the program director for Ignite Rural. And these 7 amazing people are the 2023 Ignite Rural cohort. So if you want to take that mic right there, Lynn, I'm going to have you start off. Just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where you're from and where you're at.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Colomb, and I'm from the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation, and my hometown is Mission, South Dakota. I come from a farming and ranching background and family. One of my favorite things to do is help my dad bucking horses out and film them and watch the footage and figure out what horse bucks best. But I am a filmmaker. I've been working on a documentary for about 2 years, and it is on Facebook. It's called Descendants of the Star People. And for my community connection, I did a summer art program on my reservation.
I imagine we're just going around. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Cecily Englehart. I was playing outside too much last weekend when the smoke was really bad in Vermilion, and I have not recovered. So that's why I sound terrible. So my name is Cecily Englehart. I'm Ihantuan and Oglala. I live in Wagner, South Dakota on the Ihantuan Nation. And this experience has been so phenomenal. In addition to spending time working on the parfleche purses that are at my station, I also spent time teaching parfleche earring making this year, both to different places. I taught some in New Mexico. I did some in my own community, just all over sharing that art form with different people. And I'm just so excited to be here and to be among all of the genius in this room.
Hamadakiapi, Chantena Bewashe Trizapi, Kia Dusoia Makiapi, Washitria, Esmery Kiriaga, Videwa Kantoa, Hamataha. Hello, my name is Esmery Kiriaga. White man, I like to emphasize on that. That's my mom's last name. But anyways, I'm from Vermilion, South Dakota. I'm 23 years old, and I'm one of the fellows here. I don't know, kind of had a hard time at first, deciding how I'm gonna do this project, but I just really wanted to learn how to sew, and the skirts that I have there are gonna be donated to people within Vermilion community. Just people that I find that really help me with sewing, but also have helped me grow, help me personally within my life. I'm really grateful for this opportunity at Ignite because it was definitely a healing summer. And I'm just grateful that they took the time to give me resources to develop my passion. So, yeah.
Hello, I'm Leticia Snow. My author name is Leticia Gonzalez. I am a writer. I was trained as a news writer with a journalism background, and I've always been a creative writer growing up, doing poetry. I didn't start doing any types of books until 3 years ago. I was asked to author a couple of nonfiction junior books for children. And I've always had a dream of writing my own books, picture books based on my father's childhood bedtime stories, and then just my own work, either some type of nonfiction work. And so this project kind of gave me the chance to delve into writing a children's picture book, and I started working on that. I live in St. Peter, Minnesota, but I was born and raised in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is in southern New Mexico by El Paso, Texas. And I've been in Minnesota now going on 27 years. So I probably more Minnesotan now, maybe. So yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Rocky Casillas Aguirre. I'm pronouns he, him, his. I'm a Mexican artist, originally from Tijuana, which is a border town and the largest city in Baja California. Though recently, I guess my home has been Northfield. I've been living there for about 20 years. I grew up there. It's about 3 hours east of here. And so, I consider it my hometown. And I guess over the last summer, the last 6 months, I've been working on publishing my first comic book, which I have back there on my table and that you saw in the video, titled Twitch and the Mystic Weenie. That comic was originally published on Instagram in 2020, so 3 years ago. And it was originally 10 panels. But I always dreamt of doing more with it. And thanks to the Ignite Rural program, I was able to invest more time into the development of that story. And so now it's a 32-page comic and over 200 panels. Took me about 240 hours to complete. And I finished it right before the showcase. So I had my proof printed and it arrived, I guess, on Monday. And I mentioned I have it back there. So it was a really awesome project to be able to work on, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to be able to debut it today, to be able to share it with all of you today. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Omani Luger. I'm from Mandan, North Dakota. And for the last 6 months, I've been developing my graphic novel idea, which previously I had thought of exclusively on airplanes. That was when I would think about it, because I was doing absolutely nothing else. But to receive the support from Ignite Rural, they believe in me, but also to be given the time to prioritize it is so cleansing. I just don't even know how to express it. It's just, I've always wanted to make a long form comic, and I just haven't really had the time or really the confidence to do it. But I've kind of received both of those things in one. And so that's been monumental for my artistic development.
Hi, I'm Leah Shujin Rothi, and I currently live in Brainerd, Minnesota. And right now I am running my own freelance media business, mostly graphic design, videography, and things like that. And as you saw, during the last 6 months, I've been working on an animated short film because just this year I've just been able to explore my racial identity more, and it's just been a really rewarding and cathartic experience to be able to do this in this program. So, yeah.
Thank you all. Okay. Well, thank you all. Can you each share a little bit about your process or what goes on behind the scenes of your art? What goes into creating and what inspires you to make what you do?
It's a hard question, but I'm glad the video showed the more the logical process between all the programs. In terms of what inspires me, I get inspired by just connecting with different and unique things in this world. I love, like I said, to talk to people about their passions, and I like to use video as kind of a way to be able to share those things with others. And I get really inspired by just connecting in that way with the community, because there's so many different things and experiences that I think deserve a spotlight in the world, essentially. So, and in terms of process, I mean, it's complicated, so you saw it on the video. So I'm gonna pass it.
I am inspired by myself. And okay, so I was into anime as a kid, right? I found it really difficult as a child to connect with my culture because representation in children's media was pretty limited. We're getting more now, but there just
was not a lot for me to connect with at the time. And so it just was not really a thing that I was interested in connecting with until I was an adult, but it would have been great if it happened before that. So I want to make something that would have really helped me at the time to make Indigenous people look cool. Not that they're not cool, but like, you know, I want them to look cool like how they are in anime.
Yeah, it takes many steps to be able to create a comic, which, you know, this was my first one, so there were some learning curves for me, but I mentioned it took me about 240 hours. So of those 40, I spent a lot of time writing and probably another 40 sketching, and then inking and coloring was the remaining time. And when you think about the giants in the industry like Marvel and DC, they usually have teams of people working on comics. It's not just one person. So for me to have created this comic from start to finish by myself meant that I had more creative freedom and more ability to be able to focus on the vision and execute it the way that I saw it, the way that I saw needed to look like, to be. It also meant that it was a little overwhelming sometimes because it meant that I had to be good or somewhat good at everything, writing and drawing and shading and all of that. But I guess in terms of inspiration, the style and the vibes come from cartoons and video games that I grew up watching and playing, like Adventure Time and SpongeBob and Rayman 2, The Great Escape on N64. And if you haven't played it, I highly recommend. And also, I mentioned, I think in the video, that the story, like in terms of the plot and the messaging, it was really inspired by my own personal struggles with anxiety and also identity as a trans artist. And there are people and places in the comic that are also meaningful, places that I've visited or people who are part of my life. So I found that part really fun, to turn family members into characters and then put them in the book. Like one of my aunts is an avocado later on in the story. And, you know, I think it's part of the creative process for artists to put layers of meaning into the work that we're creating, because we pour so much of ourselves into the work that we do, which makes it more special and also helps other people resonate with what we're putting out there. So.
So my journey as a writer, I feel kind of was stagnant for many years. I had a lot of dreams and hopes when I was young, and then I moved to Minnesota and I was kind of on top of the world. And then I landed in this horrible marriage for my 20s and 30s that pretty much left me kind of with no hopes and dreams, to say the least. And it wasn't until I was divorced that I finally focused on myself and kind of revisited all those hopes and dreams as a writer, and started to make goals and to like look for inspiration. You know, finding myself, I was in isolation for many years, and then these opportunities started to come that I never had before, and they didn't come at a very good time in my life. I was going through a divorce when I started getting these opportunities for writing, and before then I was just doing a lot of freelance writing. And I started to also explore my sense of belonging and identity. Coming from New Mexico to Minnesota was a huge culture shock for me. And I went from not really ever talking about my identity to all of a sudden being asked about my identity often, especially when I lived in rural Minnesota. And it wasn't until my divorce and I moved to a neighboring town that I started getting involved in my community, which is something I had really liked when I had lived in South Minneapolis more than 2 decades ago. And so once I started getting involved in my community, those connections are what kind of started influencing my work as a writer and really kind of helping me connect with my culture and other cultures. Because once I started getting to know people from different organizations and backgrounds, they started getting to know me, and you use those community connections to build each other up. And that's how I found out about this opportunity, actually. It was through a woman that I had worked with at different community organizations in my hometown, working with the Somali community, working with a local diversity council, and she's the one who shared it with me, just knowing that I was a writer. And at first, I looked at it thinking, well, am I really an artist? Because I've just done news writing and I have this creative side, but I liked the way the Department of Public Transformation looks at artistry too as a culture bearer and community engagement, because I feel that's a lot of where I get my inspiration of creating. And I work as a librarian and working with the teen community, and a lot of library work is community work, and it's trying to like reach those populations that are underrepresented and marginalized. And I've used a lot of my cultural connections to do work in the community and visit people of different groups. And I use that in my own identity exploration, and that's where I was able to explore the children's book, looking at my own culture, and which I used to grow up kind of feeling ashamed about, because my dad kind of made me feel that way at some point, probably based on his own experiences of racism and discrimination in the 50s as a Mexican American boy who lived in poverty. And so over the past 3 years, I've kind of developed more of pride in my culture and trying to like share that, because there isn't a lot of representation, especially of Mexican boys in literature. And so that's my hope, is to kind of spread that through my work. And that's where I get my inspiration from.
Can you say the question one more time?
Can you share a bit about your process and what goes on behind the scenes? So what goes into creating your art and what inspires you?
It's kind of my process. Again, it just really like depends what kind of mood I'm in, because this summer was kind of like really challenging to get inspired. I don't know why. Maybe it was like the headspace I in, or maybe I was just trying so hard to like, I was focusing on like, oh, like the outcome of the project, like let's get the project done. Like I wasn't really thinking like brainstorming, but being at home and in Vermilion, it's like real isolating and real boring. And so I went for a lot of walks to help get inspired. But my process is, I don't know, I love music. I have to like really like be away from everybody. And I don't know, I get kind of inspired just by things that I really enjoy. I enjoy fashion. I enjoy literature, especially Vine Deloria. He's like kind of like, I don't know, he kind of inspires me to do a lot of the pieces that I do now. Also Oscar Howe is a really big inspiration for me, just because of just I don't know, I never really identified as being like, oh, that native artist. Like I didn't see myself, because Amani was explaining this earlier too, like just I don't really like see myself like creating like eagles and like buffalo and like, and those are important animals. I think those are real like, you know, important animals and stuff, but just like that's not me. Like I part of my identity is growing up in the city, and that's where a lot of my inspiration too comes from, but also from like style wise, like I think people on the res have the best style, just because like they have to be creative, and a lot of the time it's thrifting. And I grew up thrifting in the city as well, and I don't know, like now all of a sudden it's cool, and it never used to be. So I guess yay sustainability. Anyways, but also I think being I don't know, it was like a process of healing for me, especially with my work. Like I really pour in a lot of emotions, especially I was having a really hard time this summer, just personally, just having some personal stuff, and so I really just put that into my work. I put all my sadness and like all, I know like everyone's like, oh, it'll be like sad, but like but I feel like that was part of me letting it go, and then like letting it
changing its energy into a different way, where it's like positive. But yeah, sorry, I keep rambling, but yeah, that's just my inspiration.
All right, I'm gonna try to make it through this without losing my voice. So my process would be that I have always been really obsessed with the intersection of art and functionality. And like when I was in college, my ceramics teacher would get really frustrated with me because I always wanted to build things. And he would be like, just let the clay speak to you. And I'm like, it's telling me to build a pagoda. Like, I don't know what to do. And so the process with these purses was one where I had started learning from a mentor. And I had this realization that, you know, when we traditionally had parfleche, it was very functional. There was a lot of purpose and everyday use behind it. And so I really wanted to create something that could be everyday use. And so creating a purse for myself that I could take on the plane, walk around to this trip to New York City. I could fit my book in there. I could fit my phone in there, my wallet. And I just wanted this like piece of myself that could be an expression and that could go with me any day. I could put it on and walk out the door with it. And so that was some of the inspiration behind that. And I think when it comes to inspiration, when it's my own bag, it comes from anywhere. I was watching, what's it called? The spinoff of Bridgerton, Queen Charlotte. They have the royals, you know, they have that white fur and then it has little black spots on it. I found out that's ermine. And ermine is what like a lot of our little ones have to have on their hair ties for when they dance. And I was just blown away that was ermine. And so then I was like, oh, now I want to make something out of that. And I need to make a bag to go with it. So you never know, like for me, where inspiration is gonna hit. We were watching Queen Charlotte. I had to pause, and I was like, Auntie, I gotta get my notebook. I have to sketch this out. And so, yeah, I just have really gotten a lot of inspiration from all different parts of the world, whether it's TV or, you know, just hearing a story from someone, or my daughter, a bag I made for her, kind of listening to what she likes. Yeah, I'm gonna stop there.
Well, I spent a lot of the grant period working with the youth on my reservation and trying to create opportunity for youth to explore the different mediums of art. And that was really successful, and I loved it. And the kids that took part in it, I got phone calls from a mom one morning at 6:30 in the morning. She calls me and she says, "You're going to have art today, right?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I set a schedule. We're going to do the schedule." And she's like, "Well, good, because Lacey's been up since 6 o'clock this morning and she's ready to go." And we didn't start till 8 o'clock, you know? So the kids that came were my inspiration. I have a 17-year-old daughter who's on my table over there, the paintings of the buffalo. My daughter did those. She's on the autism spectrum as well. She was diagnosed at 2.5. And her being such a good artist and having that opportunity to be in her gifted and talented program, that's what inspired me to create a youth program, to try to extend that opportunity to more youth and to create a little bit of a catalyst in the community to get the adults thinking about the need for the art too. I'm also working on a novel, and I've been working on a documentary film for the last 2 years. It does have a Facebook page called Descendants of the Star People. And I'm getting ready to get into the second part of making my film. My number one inspiration is history. I'm very inspired by the boarding school movement as a movement of healing in looking at not just what happened in a historical sense, but I really felt connected after getting into the grant, and land base became even more inspirational for me. When I would travel in between Sioux Falls and Rosebud, I'd go through the Platte River Valley. And as I go through there, I start thinking about my own great-great-grandparents traveling by buggy and wagon and horseback, and wondering how they made it up those hills, and, you know, all these different things. And so it's really the history and the connection to our culture that is really leading the novel that I'm writing right now, and it's leading the direction of the film as well.
Thank you. Now, can each of you talk a little bit about your personal why? So what is the message you're trying to convey, or the meaning behind your work? And why do you feel that message or meaning is important right here, right now with your community?
For me, I'll speak to the documentary film that I'm working on. I'm about ready to do interviews with different people around the reservation. And the questions that I have for them are, what are your experience as a person from the reservation? How do you connect? What do you think the problems are? And then what do you think is the solution? And I think that's really key, to ask tribal people what they think the solution is when you're making a documentary. So many times when I've watched and evaluated different films that are made in Indian country, that kind of philosophy seems to come from the documentarian. And usually the documentarian is not native. And so the message that I want to create with my art through film is, we have some ideas on how we can solve our own problems.
I think my why is probably just more of a why not. As a young person, I think I was really, like I said in the video, like intimidated by the idea of claiming to be an artist, even though I loved being creative, whether it was building, drawing, painting, performing. There was that song I saw on a TV show, Makin' Whoopee. I used to perform that in like a 20s dress. Yeah, I was like, I had no idea what I was singing about, but I had a great time. So I think I've always been really drawn to the creative world in a lot of different forms, but never felt bold enough to actually take it. I was props manager, for theater productions, but I was never on the stage. So that kind of why not, as I've gotten older, has really been prompted in large part by my daughter, who I think I know is getting tired back there. But because when I was pregnant with her, I just thought I really need to take the chance to just be creative. I probably won't regret it. And it's been really great because now my house is kind of the art house. That's where all my nieces come. They're always painting or molding something or making something. And so that's kind of more my why, is the why not.
So the why for why I'm creating and why I created that collection over there is because I don't see enough. There's a lot of emerging fashion designers like Jay Akuma, Red Berry Woman, Kay Looking Horse, Choke Cherry Designs, and they're on the up and coming, and I definitely think they're the blueprint of contemporary indigenous fashion. But I just don't see nothing that represents me and my generation. My generation, we grew up with the internet, and that definitely has an effect, especially as a young person, as a Dakota person, and I feel that all of that influences in what I do and how I want to say it. And I think the internet has it's a really powerful platform. And sorry, I just really want to express Dakota couture. I want to make that a really Lakota and Nakota, but I'm Dakota, so that's why I say that. But but I just there's not that understanding that what we make in in our designs and stuff it's not considered couture, and it literally the definition of couture is it's handcrafted garment. But it also I want to create, I guess, just a new something that's just new, ribbon skirts and stuff. I really like how that's up and coming, because I think it really has changed since I was in high school. This would have been too much for me in high school, but no, no, but like now it's like it's acceptable. Like it's supposed to be that way. People want that like extraness and stuff. But I just really want to combine like just the high fashion world. Like I want it to be recognized within it, because like we've already known our stuff is like it's couture and luxury, but they don't see it that way. And it's not like I really want that like praise from them. It's just I just want it to be seen and treated equally as that, because it's quality, it's high quality work, and it should be like be put in museums and be put on display. But yeah, sorry, I just got carried away with it.
So like I mentioned earlier, after my divorce, I really thought my life was over. I thought there was nothing left to show. I thought I had missed all my opportunity to accomplish my dreams, but that was not true. I've learned that there is no timetable, but at the same token, I also feel like time is short. I mean, you come to a point where you see people die at my age now. I mean, you have classmates and you don't know what will happen. And I'm at the point where I can't turn down opportunities, and I can't be afraid to try something that I've always wanted to try. You know, a lot of us have talked about how will we know if we don't put ourselves out there. And so it's going for the things that you've always wanted to do and just doing it, you know. And I've really tried to center my life the last 3 years of setting goals, of doing things that I never thought possible. I've shared it with some people, but I started running ultra marathons last year and started running again 3 years ago. I was running like an 18-minute mile, barely a mile at a time, and I worked my way up from a 10K to a 50 miler in 2 years. And when I first started running, I thought I used to see these ultra marathon runners and thought, wow, that is crazy. I don't think I would ever be able to do that. I can't even, you know, do a 5K at this point right now. And, you know, and when you think of those things, you put in the work and you believe in yourself, anything is possible. I know that sounds really cliche, but for me, like, I have to believe in myself. And it seems like a simple thing, but when you're told that you're less than for so many years, and then you start to believe it for a long time, and then when you get these opportunities, you think, well, maybe I am more than I think I am. And it's a constant process for me to like always keep a positive mindset. And running helps me stay focused. Running helps me stay motivated to do my work. And also my community. I see people coming to my community from different countries, children, adults. We have a lot of Somali population, Mexicans, Guatemalans, and those people are becoming a vital part of our community, and that keeps me motivated to do the work, to make them feel welcome, because I know that how important it was for me to feel welcome, even as someone who spoke English. And I look at those who come from different backgrounds who don't speak our language, coming to a small town, but you know, they want to feel involved too. They have something to offer too. And so that's why I do the work that I do in my community, and that's why I want to do the writing, and I want to be out there, because there are people there that probably feel just as alone as I once felt and still sometimes do. And so it takes somebody out there to think about others. And that's why I do it.
So the main message that I'm trying to convey through my comic and my art in general is that we have infinite potential. We have the power within ourselves to overcome really difficult things, including mental health struggles. You know, there are a lot of kids right now coming out of the pandemic who struggle with anxiety and depression, and they don't really know what to do about it. And part of the reason they don't know what to do is because we're not taught how to, you know, process, understand, and befriend our emotions. Actually, it's quite the opposite. You know, society tells us that we need to keep those things to ourselves. You know, if you're having a panic attack in public, you're seen as crazy, or if you struggle with something, you need to talk to your therapist. You know, we're not encouraged to talk to each other as a community. And for as long as we keep doing that, we're not going to find healing. And so for me, it's really important to normalize the conversation about mental health. I'm trying through my comics to create safe spaces to talk about mental health. And that's why I focus on youth, because I think that the younger then we can start to learn that feeling is just part of the human experience, the more likely that future generations of kids will be able to grow up to be happy and healthy adults, which is, I think, what we need.
My why am I doing what I'm doing currently is in part because it's a thing that I've always wanted to do. I've always been drawing comics. A lot of them are really tiny. Some of them are on my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. But I've always wanted to do a long form, dramatic comic, because that's what I like to read. But it is really intimidating to write a story and draw it and then share it with people. And I historically have really struggled with being vulnerable in my art. But I like when other people are vulnerable in their art because it feels very honest. But when I do it, I just feel like it's not so much rooted in shame as it is in just fear of being misunderstood. And so I would just shy away from doing anything like what I'm currently doing. But here I am doing that very thing. And I just really wanted to give myself the space to, for lack of a better term, let my freak flag fly. And just be as self-indulgent as possible. And if nobody likes it, fine. But if they do, then great. Now I have new friends. But the other part of the why is, of course, that the phrase Native American art generates a very specific image still in the year 2023. And it's just, that's not all there is. And I want to show you that.
For me, my personal why, just in general, is connection, but specific to the short film. And she's probably gonna vomit when I say this, but it's Jade. Just honestly, getting to meet her, and we actually haven't really met in person yet. I get to actually go visit her next week, which is super cool. But just having her and just getting along so well and finding somebody with such a relatable experience. I used to have a brother who was also a transracial adoptee, but he passed away, and we had really different experiences. But losing him was a really big we're the only transracial adoptees in our families, and I wish that we had more of a chance to connect on that. And it made me think a lot more about how isolating that experience can be. And then meeting Jade last year, we talk every day, we play Wordle every day, it's real connection. But just the point of the short film, the meeting the other chopstick, she was the other chopstick for me. It made me feel so much less alone. And then we together are able to kind of venture into the transracial adoptee community, and just do the research together, and think about things together. And I know that being that experience itself is kind of is isolating, but you can find community through that too. And a lot of the burden is on the adoptees currently to do the research and find the communities and everything. But I hope that the film itself is maybe an inspiration to do that and find another person, or find things to relate to in terms of that, because there's quite a range obviously of adoptee experiences. But I hope that in the the conveyance in the film is like that there is like, or there can be like a internal struggle, and I really wanted to work hard on not villainizing, but like just conveying a relatable experience that I haven't seen before. And my inspiration was just the relationship with Jade, and she was really helpful in just like, I would send it to her and I'd be like, do you think this is relatable? And she's like, and I'd be like, okay, well, we'll like, brainstorm together, and it's been really nice. So yeah.
We'll move into our last question here. I want you all to think back over the last 6 months. What is something that you have gained from this experience? And also, how is that leading you to your next steps?
Wow, 6 months of memory. Okay. Start from the beginning. I mean, there's just like so much I've gained from it, like aside from like the animation skills, because that was a lot. Just like, I think a sense of purpose. I think I've gained a lot about that, because just this year has been really transitional, taking a leap with, and now I'm back in media is a lot, and running my own business is a lot, but like this experience, like it confirmed like that there is like a space to be able to pursue like the craft I love, but also like my own journey, and also like passion, I guess. And like it's, what is it? There's like a term like isekai, I think, like that was mentioned in one of our workshops, where like just everything aligns like practically like within your soul and like within purpose. And it, like this program like made me feel like so much of what I like want to pursue aligns, and it's been very validating. In terms of like next steps, as I mentioned in the video, I would really love to submit the short film to film festivals around like Minnesota or around the US, and just get more eyes on it, and like get the opportunity to like talk more about representation and about these experiences, and like hopefully get awards. That would be cool too, but maybe some money or something. But like really, I want to have more conversations, and I want to be able, and I think it's a really good jumping off point to like connect with my community in Brainerd, like in a way that like I haven't before. Because I do love Brainerd, but it's been kind of hard to connect in like a person of color space. And I think like the time is now in a lot of ways, because I'm going on that journey, but just the general social like change and everything, like I think there's just more avenues to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm really thankful for all of this, and I think that it honestly, this has like been like a huge like life changer. So yeah.
What have I gained from the experience? Over the last 6 months, I have gained honestly a newfound confidence in my art. As I said previously, I have been pretty shy about it, even though I've always identified as an art kid. But like, for instance, my comics on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram. They're really silly. They're just silly little life things. And I have learned that a lot of people in my life know that I can draw, but they don't know that I can do stuff like what I have here today. Because if I do that, I keep it to myself. It's a secret. But a lot of times I don't do it because I'm so intimidated by just the idea of it, typically, that I will just not do it. But like, I've learned that I can draw, dude. There's some poses over there that I tried to find a reference for. There's no way I can draw this, and I couldn't find a reference, and guess what? I just drew it from my mind. And so I've like continuously learned, like, maybe I can do it. So I've gained that, which is like, it feels so good in my heart. It's like, it's been so cleansing and like healing and but also validating. That's the big thing, is that being accepted to Ignite Rural was really validating, because like someone sees something in me that they want to support, and that rules. So I've gained that.
Yeah, I mean, I've gained a lot too. I've been able to hone in on my skills and my craft. I've been able to dream. Like I mentioned, that comic I posted 3 years ago on social media is now a printed book, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of Ignite Rural. Aside from that, new friendships, as cheesy as that might sound. I felt like our first cohort gathering was like an AA meeting for artists. If you can imagine an AA meeting with this crowd, this group over here. No, like really, we've shared so much, not just about our art journeys, but our personal lives. We've cried and laughed and really gotten to know each other, which for me has been really cool. I've never been part of an artist cohort like this one before. So it's been really nice to be able to share with everyone who's up here, just like the challenges, the barriers that we all share, as well as our dreams and aspirations. And I really hope that we'll be able to maintain these friendships after the program ends. That's what I'm looking forward to.
So I agree with Rocky. I've been in the last couple of years, I've tried to like get involved with a lot of leadership opportunities, and I always just kind of felt like I didn't fit in, because most of them were actually all white. I was always the only person of color in all of these groups, and it was just something that you can't explain to other people how that feels sometimes. And I was starting to feel kind of a suffocated feeling, like I didn't know where I belonged anymore. I was missing this connection, and try to understand kind of the issues I've been grappling with my own identity and culture. And then like that first meeting, it was those like same sentiments were echoed about identity and our issues in our communities, and trying to kind of have that confidence as artists. And it's really helped me. I mean, it did feel like we knew each other right off the bat, and it's been amazing to kind of share the journey with each other. I'm trying to remember what the other part of the question was.
What are your next steps?
Oh yeah, next steps. So this program really gave me kind of the confidence to kind of put myself out there. I thought after my divorce, I thought I had to that writing was no longer in the cards for me or sustainable, because I was a single mom, and I didn't think I could do what I had wanted when I was a young girl. I had wanted to be an author. And, once I started exploring this again and writing and trying something new, because it did make me try a new form of writing, I started realizing, gosh, I really like this and miss this. And how can I do this? It started making me look for opportunities and realize that there still is opportunity in there. And it pushed me to push myself into new possibilities, really. And I've kind of been exploring new opportunities, and one of them I didn't get, but I'm like, you know what, that's okay. I can still look for other ones. And so it's just, putting myself out there again and not being afraid, because like I said, I feel kind of like I'm playing catch up in my life, and I don't want to let, I could sit there, for many years I looked at other people and said, gosh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could read that many books or run that many miles. But then it was like I was the only one holding myself back, because you have to start somewhere. And this program gave me that start to say, okay, I want to reach these goals. How am I going to do it? And here's the tools that I need. And it helped me to kind of like look into a new career or a new life, because my girls, I have 3 kids, and my son's 19, so he's off to college. And then I have twin girls. This is their last year. So now is my time to kind of reinvent myself and to really follow my dreams. And I feel like I haven't quite figured out what I'm doing yet when I grow up. And so this is letting me explore my talents again and to like dream big. And I don't feel like I have to have it all figured out, but I'm going to try new things. And that's where I'm at in my life.
So, well, right before I applied to Ignite, I wasn't like doing any art like at all. Like I was really in like a really, I guess like low place, low vibrations. And it's actually my mom who sent me the link, and I was like, that's like too carried away. Like they're not gonna accept me. Like it's too intimidating. Like I was really, really scared. And like starting, I felt like I was really shy. Like I don't know, Hollywood had to like pick on me, like answer questions, because I'd be like, don't. But I feel like having to have those calls and stuff like that made me be more comfortable, especially talking about art and networking when it comes to art, because I'm super shy. Like I know I don't seem like it right now, but because there's people in here that are making me feel comfortable right now, but usually I'm just like yeah. But I'm really grateful that Ignite gave me, like I said in the beginning, resources, but also like it really gave me a platform and a space to like become myself again, and accept myself for who I am, and like the ugly and like the good. And that's like, I don't know, it was weird to like relearn about myself again through art, because it's something I've always wanted to be since I was little. Like I've had, like different challenges, like I'm gonna go this way, do this, but like I've always stayed true to art. And I don't know, I feel like I changed like through the summer. Like it Ignite like forced me to like sit there and like be creative again. And I hadn't had that in a really long time. Like something always bugging me, like, oh, you have to get this done, like you have to get this done. Like these people gave you this money, like you gotta get this done. So there was always that in the back of my head. But also like I'm just super grateful, because I feel like I bought a sewing machine last year, and I didn't touch it like for a whole year until I started this. And now I know how to sew. Like now I know like the basics. And I don't know, just like I'm just really grateful for Ignite World, because it's just I really went through a healing journey, like in transformation, like this whole summer, to be where I'm at now. Because like beginning when it started, like I was not in this headspace at all. I was not creating anything. Like everything that's right there, like it was here in this program, like me doing that. So yeah, I'm just super grateful for Ignite World.
So what I gained, I think, was a lot of what everyone here has already said. Also a sense of permission to just try, be creative. And Ignite gave a lot of flexibility. Like there was so much flexibility to this program, and I appreciate that, because the artistic process is such an emotional one. It's one that things that you just think, I'm gonna try it, and then you find all of these like inner demons that you have to conquer before you can even do anything. And so I just have appreciated the way that this has really allowed all of us, I think, to be able to dive deeper into our artistic expression in ways that feel like, we have this sense of community. There were all of the workshops that were offered, and just like allowing us to be in connection with each other and with other artists, I've been really grateful for. And then I think that for next steps moving forward, just having that time to really see art as very viable, I'm like really hesitant to say it, but I'm in the process. Hopefully I have my fingers crossed, toes crossed, eyes crossed, everything, but I'm really, really hoping that I'm able to move forward with purchasing a commercial space in my community. And it's kind of in the works right now. And if that goes through, I would like to have that to be a community space where art is really centered, and then I could feature all of these wonderful people. And yeah, it would just be a really great thing to have this continuation so that my dining room table is not always covered in art supplies, and my family will like me more.
Well, like a lot of the other artists have shared, I think creating space, within our different mediums, within our different projects, within our different communities, we're all different, whether it's for people of color, transracial adoptions, all of these things that really make us different. And so what that did was allow me to celebrate my own space. And it allowed me to grow within my own space and figure out what is my space. And this is a valid space. And also figuring out that sometimes I am in unrelatable space, and I really connected with that through my journey because, as artists, we're very individual people. And what I came to understand about myself is I am very unique. And because I'm so unique, I'm not always able to be related to in that moment. But that allowed me to grow because then I realized that I feel unrelatable, but somebody out there also feels unrelatable. And that's the connection. It's not that we're all the same or that we're all going for the same thing. It's that we find ways to share a space and to become relatable to one another. And so that's really like a growing that I have felt through the program. And I also feel like I've become a better listener and a better learner. And so I'm very appreciative to the program for that.
That was actually the last question that I had for you all. Thank you all. Real quick, I just realized that I completely forgot to tell you exactly what Ignite Rural is. I was so excited to just share them with you all finally. This has been months in the making. So real quick, Ignite Rural is an at-home artist residency program designed to support artists in rural communities of 20,000 or less. And really, I just want that focus on them because it wouldn't be that without this group. I really want to say thank you all for coming and taking the time to listen to them. I really encourage you all to join us down at Blue Nose in a little bit where we're just going to celebrate. We're going to have food. You can get a drink. I think there's karaoke tonight. And yeah, connect with them all one-on-one, ask questions, really just celebrate. So thank you all for showing up.